Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. With such a galaxy of senior naval officers here, I feel somewhat like a school student who's been pulled out from the back benches and taken to the staff room to face a number of principals and teachers and made to speak to them about what they know a lot better than I do. But Captain Anand Dikshit, President, Indian Maritime Foundation, Vice Admiral Vinod Pasricha, former CNC of the Western Naval Command, Vice Admiral Abhay Karve, former CNC of the Southern Naval Command, Rear Admiral Ajay Natkani, who very kindly invited me for this event, former Chiefs of Material, Admiral DSP Verma, Ashok Subedar, former DCNS, Vice Admiral Muralidhar Pawar, former COL, Vice Admiral Jayavant Kode, flag officers from the Indian Navy and the Indian Coast Guard, IG Bisham Sharma, who is the ComCG West, representatives of shipyards, distinguished colleagues from the Maritime Fraternity of India, and delegates participating in the IMF Maritime Seminar 2025. Good morning to all of you and my personal greetings. Firstly, I'm very deeply honored to be here this morning, and I'm very grateful to Captain Anand Dikshit for giving me this opportunity. I apologize for the inconvenience of having the date shifted once or twice. Somehow I don't control my program entirely, and I was very keen to come for this event, and I'm very thankful that I've been accommodated, even despite having to change the dates once or twice. Ladies and gentlemen, some of the things that I might say might sound somewhat of a repetition of what has been already said, so please bear with me. I stand here today not just as a professional naval officer, but as someone who very deeply believes in safety as an operational enabler in the maritime domain. For me, therefore, the theme, proactive strategies to enhance maritime safety, is a strong reflection of our shared need to preserve life, protect assets, and keep the global commons unimpeded by accidents, incidents, and unsafe acts. I am very glad that we have a wide representation at this event from several stakeholders that contribute to maritime safety. Of course, the armed forces, the Indian Navy and the Indian Coast Guard, the merchant marine, shipyards, representatives from the maritime industry and the maritime education system, and veterans that have been at sea for several years, for several decades in fact. Needless to say, for us in India, safety at sea is a key element of our collective aspiration to make our own maritime ecosystem stronger, more resilient, so that it can lend our economy greater vibrancy, greater fluidity, greater depth, and enable our national vision of Viksit Bharat to become a reality by 2047. I'm therefore very happy to participate in this event and make a small contribution to its proceedings. Historically, maritime safety has been at the very heart of trade, exploration, national interest, and war. Every ship lost to a storm, accident, or navigational error meant economic disaster or lost political opportunity. Thus, improving safety through more lighthouses, better charts, and more user-friendly navigation aids and tools was crucial to not just sustaining prosperity, but also to empire building. An early example of this is the construction of the Pharaoh's Lighthouse at Alexandria, which was perhaps one of humanity's earliest maritime safety innovations. In the age of discovery, when explorers like Colombo, Vasco da Gama, and Magellan circumnavigated the world, safe navigation and seaworthiness determined who lived and who did not, and who achieved successfully and who did not. Incremental improvements in maritime safety came with the introduction of new age magnetic compasses and sextants, and better ship construction techniques enabled voyages to connect distant continents and shape the future of the world for centuries thereafter. As far as maritime power is concerned, safety has always been crucial from the times of the ancient navies of the Greek triremes, the Roman fleets, and even the navies that warred all the way up to the World War II. A single incident, fire, explosion, grounding, or indeed misreading of the elements could cripple entire fleets, change the outcomes of wars, or alter the fortunes of nations. We are all aware that the industrial age heralded steamships of new designs, steel hulls of different forms, and passenger liners of varying sizes and sophistication. The Titanic disaster of 1912, and this was alluded to a little earlier, proved to be a watershed moment in maritime safety as it led to the International Convention of the Safety of Life at Sea in 1914, which to this day remains the cornerstone of maritime safety. Since then, of course, the seafaring community has found a way to strengthen safety culture on the seas by gleaning lessons from every incident and accident. In that sense, placing safety at sea at the center of seafaring reflects our progress as a community and is an indication of our ability to learn from missteps, mistakes, and mishaps to make the oceans a safer domain for our common pursuits. It is not surprising that safety has today evolved into a mature scientific discipline that stitches together diverse fields like hydrography, meteorology, satellite services, and artificial intelligence with human behavior, human psychology, and human physiology to obtain better accident and collision avoidance. In that sense, once again, the history of maritime safety is deeply intertwined with the story of human progress, resilience, and innovation. Even today, it continues to impact our civilization, economy, and well-being in very important ways. But safety at sea, like everything else, also results from a complex interplay of several human, technological, environmental, geographical, and geopolitical factors. While the fundamental tenet of seamanship being common sense is indeed timeless, the maritime environment has become denser, infinitely more complex, and the risks at sea have transformed dramatically over the last few decades. Please allow me to contextualize all of this with a few statistics. An analysis carried out by the International Maritime Organization indicates that a total of 13,526 accidents and incidents have occurred between the years 2001 and 2024 alone in the maritime domain, resulting in the loss of over 8,500 lives and financial losses accruing to over 24 billion US dollars. Of these, 62%, shockingly, are attributed to human error, 24% technological malfunction, machinery breakdown, unseaworthiness, and structural failures, and 8% to organizational factors like poor governance, lack of oversight, and safety compliance. The remaining 6% are attributed to misdeclared goods, overloading, stability factors, and external conditions such as piracy, armed robbery, hijacking, and attacks by drones, missiles, and projectiles. So human error continues to be the major cause of accidents. Notable, of course, among these, and I'll just list out a few examples, are the sinking of MV La Jula of Senegal in September 2002 that resulted in the loss of 1,863 lives. Running aground of Costa Concordia, and all of us, this is in recent memory, a passenger liner of the Isola del Giglio in Italy in January 12, which resulted in the death of 32 passengers. The famous blocking of the Suez Canal, Admiral Narkani just made a mention of it, by MV Ever Given for 6 days in March 2021 that caused a major disruption to global shipping and imposed a significant economic impact across the world. The loss of Titan, the deep-sea submersible that imploded off the wreck of the Titanic on 18th of June 2023. One of the most disastrous accidents, and Admiral Narkani alluded to this a little while before, in recent memory has been the collapse of the 47-year-old Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore on 24th of March 2024 after it was struck by Dali, a container ship. The accident, of course, as all of you know, resulted in the loss of 6 lives and the plunging into the sea of several cars and people. It also caused the stoppage of all inbound and outbound traffic in the port of Baltimore for 11 weeks, loss of revenue of approximately 15 million US dollars every day, and the loss of about 8,000 port jobs for the local population. While preliminary investigation by the FBI revealed that the accident was caused by total power failure, that of course in turn could have been attributed to the use of some contaminated fuel. Subsequent investigations brought to light latent conditions, several of them that pre-existed, such as faulty circuit breakers while changing over the switchboard configuration the previous day, loose electrical cables in the transformer and braking system, and design safety compliance in the bridge itself, which was owed to aging of the ship. Some key lessons for maritime safety from this incident include the critical need to be honest in reporting, robust power systems, emergency response and communication protocols in restricted waters, and training of crews in operational risk management for timely identification of hazards before they manifest into risks. Closer home, of course, accidents, incidents, and safety violations continue to be rampant in Indian waters even up to this day. The sinking of a passenger barge off the Mumbai offshore development area when Cyclone Taute struck in May 2021 revealed several serious lacunae, weaknesses, and safety violations in the Indian maritime ecosystem. It turned out that I was a part of the inquiry that happened after that when I was in Bombay, and we were shocked to know that the entire system worked on a system of faith, belief, and paperwork, where real robust systems were not in place. It worked on a whole complex web of contracts and subcontracts with no real supervision. Everything was assumed, nothing was ensured, nothing was checked, but safety was just assumed to happen on its own simply because contracts were signed. It is interesting, of course, that an analysis of all safety infringements across the world from 2019 to 2024, just in the 5-year period, indicates that 46% of accidents or incidents at sea, 46% at sea, and 90% of the incidents in harbor have occurred when vessels and crews were not involved in any important task or evolution. It just happened at rest. 80% of these occurred during broad daylight. This is stunning statistics. This indicates clearly, of course, that even with new policies, procedures, and processes making seafarers more safety conscious, they collectively continue to remain very, very vulnerable to accidents and incidents. At this juncture, therefore, please allow me to highlight to you 4 factors that all of us could consider to improve our safety record and safety consciousness. The first, of course, is to continuously strengthen our safety culture at the individual level. Obvious as it sounds, there is no getting away from the fact that we still have a lot of ground to cover in this direction, and I speak from experience in the Navy. Developing a safety culture is not only about knowledge, it is certainly about attitude and leadership. It is very, very important. Safety culture is indeed a subset of our national culture, and as a nation we somehow tend to take safety for granted. And my own personal experience is that no matter how many orders you pass, no matter how many briefings you do, safety continues to be a field which needs to be ensured rather than just assumed. We need to overcome the social indifference all of us show towards safety by building and nurturing a robust safety management system in the maritime sector. The Indian Navy has been trying to do this from 27 when we set up the Indian Naval Safety Team, and the Indian Naval Safety Team has been trying to do this on a mission mode since. The IMO has established the International Safety Management Code since 1987 that enables the maritime industry to imbibe safety as a core value, not just a rule to follow. Unfortunately, of course, statistics thus far have not been very creditable and need to change this quite systematically. I think as Vice Admiral Vinod Pashita just showed, we have a long way to transition from a pathological to a proactive and a generative safety culture. And I think all of us need to collectively make a lot of effort in that direction. 2, guarding against organizational apathy. Organizations need to view safety as a core value within the organizations to live and work by, and not just as a priority. And there's a big difference between having it as a core value and as a daily priority, because safety is a constant necessity in everything that we do, but our priorities keep changing day by day depending on what circumstances we face every day. Goal anxiety, stringent timelines, suboptimal safety training, competing priorities, all of these often lead to accidents as layers, as represented by the famous Swiss cheese model that was posited by Professor James Reason. They failed to stop the hazard arrow from passing through. Organizational apathy or complacency could lead to suboptimal fatigue risk management, overloading, shortcuts, and lack of honest reporting, eventually leading to a number of accidents. 3. Avoiding the check-off list only syndrome. A check-off list is a guide. It is never a guarantee. On paper, we have never had safer ships plying our oceans than we have today. Double hulls, EGDIS, other sophisticated electronic aids, pre-departure checklists, ISPS codes, audits at multiple levels, and SOP at almost every organizational level. Yet, the sea today feels a lot less safe than it used to be several years back, because in my view, check-off list compliance has become the new captain. In our exuberance to comply with checklists, we focus on doing just that rather than applying common sense with it. A lot of times we forget to smell the possibility of accidents. The paper compliance could result in a false sense of security and a safety assurance that may not be true. It also has the potential to remove human intervention, with seafarers believing more in checklists than on visual verification and pragmatic supervision. Add to this the possibility of critical steps in the check-off list being missed, and we stare at an accident or an incident waiting to happen. 4. Guarding against the technology trap, especially one that seeks to replace the seaman's eye with artificial intelligence and other cognitive technologies. You will all agree with me that no amount of technology or automation can prevent an accident or incident if the human behind the machine is not invested or interested enough. In the socially connected times that we live in, the seaman's eye seems to have been replaced by an unhealthy level of reliance on smart devices that challenge real situational awareness. In this milieu, it is important for us to renew our focus on building the basic watchkeeping and seamanship skills in our manpower, and train our seafarers to employ their sensory faculties to identify latent conditions and hazards that machines may not feel or see. A key objective of technology assimilation is quality assurance. This is where shipyards, industry partners, and quality assurance agencies have a very important role to play in enhancing maritime safety. The stringent structural frameworks that these agencies operate within, such as the SOLAS, MARPOL, ISM code, ISO 9001, all of these have the ability to identify latent conditions and hazards well before a ship is put out to sea. Quality assurance also has the potential to turn safety from an individual effort to a systematic discipline. It is therefore imperative for us to strengthen our QA organizations and build a proactive approach to safety that correctly and appropriately balances the use of technology with human intervention. While training seafarers and adapting to current and emerging technologies is hugely important, educating them on the nuances of cyber vulnerabilities and data misrepresentation, training them to operate in GPS-denied environments, and preparing them to deal with unforeseen contingencies like onboard explosions and external attacks is equally important. Combining technology with the right level of human skill is also important. In essence, ladies and gentlemen, maritime safety lies at the intersection of human ability, technology, operational stresses, and environmental uncertainties. The challenge, therefore, is just not to respond to or prevent accidents, but to build a culture of safety consciousness proactively where technology and human ingenuity empower those that proceed to sea and provide them the wherewithal to negotiate the tough conditions they face both effectively and efficiently. This seminar seeks to identify those proactive strategies to enhance maritime safety, and I'm sure that over the next 3 sessions, the participants will engross themselves in productive conversations to identify those strategies, find ways to transform them into policies that promote safety and enhance maritime security. One thing that we all instinctively know is that the sea is an unforgiving partner, master, and examiner. As a community that operates in it every day of our lives, we must be professionally strong, organizationally resilient, and collectively engaged in bracing the storms, tiding over all the challenges that we face, and promoting the nation's maritime rejuvenation quite deftly through a robust maritime safety culture. Seminars such as this, an organization like the IMF, that steadfastly advocate seafaring matters, contribute in multiple ways to policy formulation, and invest in maritime education are important elements of this long journey. Once again, I'm deeply honored to be part of the seminar and wish all of you the very best in your endeavors. I once again thank the Indian Maritime Foundation for providing me this opportunity to share my thoughts with you. I also wish the seminar every success. I hope it meets with its objectives in full measure and generates significant positive outcomes to all of us. Thank you very much. Jai Hind. May I just take the opportunity of presenting a crest of mine to the President of the IMF, please.
Thank you, Admiral Swaminathan, for that excellent and very thought-provoking talk and sharing your perspectives on how to enhance maritime safety. And that has certainly set the tone for the next 3 sessions which are to follow. Thank you very much. And also thank you for taking time off your, no doubt, very busy schedule to be here with us and sharing your thoughts. May I request the President of IMF to also reciprocate by presenting a book memento to the chief guest. We also, if I may request also the CNC, we have Commodore Ranjit Rai, who is the Vice President of the Delhi chapter, who has recently brought out a book on China, and he wishes to present a copy also to you. So, Commodore Rai, if you're here.
I'll just say 2 words. I'm, I think, one of the oldest here. I went to the Naval War College for a conference, and I met somebody called Captain Swaminathan. I came back to Delhi. I reported to the Chief of Naval Staff that I met a very, very intellectually simple-looking captain, but he's bloody good. You know what the Chief of Naval Staff said? He's coming as my naval assistant. So keep your thoughts. So it's a privilege for me from those days to today. Please open the book. I'll call it a launch. The theme of this book is India holds the bolt and the key to the Indian Ocean. It's called the Malacca Dilemma. I think the Admiral talked about it. The Indian Ocean needs a lot of attention.
सर नजदीक आ जाए